what I don't accept is mediocrity, right? So what do I have to do to get the most out of those hours and perform at a high level and have a great impact on multiple people? Blah, 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 right? All the stuff that's important to me. How do I fit that within 40 to 45 hours a week on a normal routine basis? That's the question. That's what I'm going to create for myself.
Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
Welcome to another episode of The Impactful Engineer. Here we have authentic conversations around engineering and professional development to allow for freedom of thought and expression. This creates an environment for growth, filling in what we believe to be the gaps present for engineering professionals. Ultimately, we want people to have fulfilled careers, be inspired to become the best versions of themselves. Woo!
The best.
Happy to be here today. Fired up about this one. I have like bold statements and things to say that usually make people what are you talking about? And they push back really hard. So I love that. It's awesome. But there are reasons. So hopefully I can share those with you today. Man, how you doing, Steven? I didn't even ask you.
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a challenging week, but here we are. How about you?
What's been challenging about it? Does it tie into what I want to talk about today?
It certainly does. So that's perfect for having this conversation. We had some other challenges that were outside of this topic, but yeah. I feel good. I feel better about everything moving forward, and yeah, I'm ready for this. So
yeah,
how was your week?
We're recording on a Saturday.
Yep.
And the week leading up to this Saturday was quite the week. And you have those every once in a while, and that's okay because you've reserved some energy to push through. But 60 plus hours, multiple projects, brain fried. But it's all good. It's a new day, and feeling good. And I know that other challenge you had. I know that because we talked about it, and that's a tough one.
Yep.
And maybe we'll cover it in the future sometime. But yeah, that'll take a lot out of you. All right, let's get back to it. Today we're going to talk about working too much, too many hours, whatever that means to you. But, in normal society today, we have decided that 40 hours is a normal working week. So I'm talking about working more than that. So 50, 60, 70, whatever you're doing. I kind of want to make the bold assertion that it all just comes down to, well, how do I stop working too much? You just stop working too much. And I'll explain why. And hopefully it makes sense. And the main reason, that I've seen and that I've actually been through myself with working too much is just you become accustomed to it. So you've taken a period of growth, a period of needing to work more hours to get things done because it happens, and you will never only work 40 hours a week, especially in this industry. If you want to be great and be good, right? You have to work more than that sometimes. Okay. But you've taken that period and you didn't come off from it, right? You didn't make any moves after that period to bring something to a normal level. So working too much, you've just become accustomed to it, and you probably do it regularly. I think it becomes something normal, and that everything you do or say kind of feeds into the assertion that you don't have enough time and that you need to be working these hours. So the solution is just to stop. So just stopping, if you can have the courage to just say, you know what, I'm going to work 40 hours and that's it. And I'm going to fill my life with other things because I want more balance. Not that you have to have balance, and balance is a ambiguous term anyway, but in this context. But if you want it, just stop working too much. This will immediately bring the reasons you're working too much right to the front. and it'll be painful, and it'll be the hard truth as to what you need to do to fix the problem. Some of the arguments, some of the pushback we'll get, right? From saying, we're not going to work more than 40 hours. We're just going to stop it and it's going to be great. Push back to that. There's nobody else that can do this stuff, so I have to do it, right? I've heard that one. I've said that one before. There's too much work and it has to get done, right? And then another great one is the support from the group or the younger team can't handle it. They're just not doing it. They're not picking up the slack, stuff like that. That's what I've heard. Here's a little side note. If you're a workaholic and you like working insane hours, maybe you go ahead and skip this episode, come back when you're tired of it. Or maybe you listen and get some insight into why you're working so much. So once you've had the courage to stop and just draw the line, I think that's going to be the content of this episode, is going to be, then what do you do in order to be just as productive in your 40 hours and make it something that you can achieve without, quote unquote, sacrificing all of that amazing extra work you're doing because you're putting in so many hours. Okay. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to try to break them down here. But, I think when you first start out as an engineer, you really want to prove that you're awesome, you're a badass, that you have this great work ethic, and you want to live up to the expectations of whether it's your peers, your parents, your new manager, etc. And so you'll put in a ton of hours to make up for the lack of expertise, right? You'll get an endorphin hit off of that because you're like, yeah, I'm accomplishing a lot. I'm really putting in the work. And I think this is a lot of an area where yeah, you do have to work a little harder earlier to make up that gap of skill set, but you also get into a norm, right? That you always have to be working at this intensity level. And, that's really not the case. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up is they think that I have to continue to do this for the entirety of my career. And while I think it's a little more important to be able to lean into the time of work early, everyone needs to understand that you get to a skill set very quickly where you do not have to do that. You can have a more focused work effort and be able to work a reasonable amount of time. Now, of course, there's going to be high times, low times, right? There's going to be peaks and valleys of workload. So there's always going to be some times that you need to put in the extra time of work.
Sure.
But holistically speaking, is you need to realize that you don't need to be putting in 70 hours a week, every week for the entirety of your career.
So you're saying that in the beginning of your career, you're going to put more hours in a week because you're trying to catch up? You're trying to gain skills? You're trying to do things like that?
A little bit. And when I'm not saying your first 10 years, I'm saying your first couple months, maybe, because you have an on-ramp, right? You have to learn the business. You have to learn the industry, the specific skill sets of where you are, right? If you're in product development, you got to learn how to do the skills necessary for that. If you're, in your industry, you have to learn those specific skill sets. So there's an onboarding process that you usually have to put in a little extra time to get up to speed. But once you're up to speed, you shouldn't have to be putting in those insane amount of hours to make up that difference.
Yeah. So, I kind of did that early in my career. And then there was a point where I really blew up. I got over 3,000 hours in a year, which was just dumb. And that's when I started really looking into all this. But so I don't know. I would challenge that a little bit. I've had people come in and do normal 40 hours and excel, and they're focusing on the right things, and we're bringing them up to speed within a regular work week with very intentional training and assignments and stuff like that, mentoring, coaching, all that good stuff. But it certainly can set you apart. So I'm not saying it won't. It's just one of those things that you get to decide to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. But since this is a episode about working too much, I'm going to push back on that and
No,
say that
that's fine.
it's not necessary. It's absolutely not necessary. It does get tricky when you do put in extra hours for a couple months because you want to get ahead. I would say, you know, I mean, this isn't the podcast to evaluate that statement, I don't think. Do it if you think you want to, but I mean, is that really what's expected of you? And is that really what's going to get you ahead? Is it just by working more hours, or is it going to be working intentionally, communicating with the person that hired you and saying, look, we have 40 hours a week. Let's make sure we spend it wisely. I do want to perform well. I consider myself a high performer and someone that wants to get ahead and do more than your average person, right? I want to set myself apart. But that doesn't mean working 50 to 60 hours a week. I think it means working 40 to 45. And I think if we work together, we can get there.
Yeah.
That's scary to say as
Oh yeah.
and depending on what kind of culture you've just landed yourself in, your manager might go, huh? What? But, you know, feel it out, I guess. If the culture is that the new guys burn the midnight oil, then, well, I guess you've stepped into a place where you're going to be working more hours. Because you ain't going to change that culture right away. So, yep, do it if you have to maintain the perception that you're playing ball. But I would recommend that if you start to learn that that's an unspoken requirement in your company, and it's going to last for years and years and years, I'd be looking somewhere else for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely not suggesting that this is something that you do for any length of time, because it's just not sustainable, right? This is something that you get in and you do it for, 3 weeks to 5 weeks, right? Or however long it takes you to get up to speed to be effective in your new role. After
Yeah.
that, you need to be intentional to be effective in the work that you're doing in the amount of time that is reasonable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's something that has to be done today, work on that first, and then if there's a longer term project that is a month out, you can work on it very intentionally and focused, but at the end of the day, be like, all right, well, the next task can be saved for tomorrow.
Okay, so you've decided that working extended hours isn't a thing that you want to do anymore, but you don't know how to get out of it, and then you've just stopped. And you've communicated, right, that that's your goal to everyone around you and on your team. You say, gosh, guys, I really need to back off the hours. All right, I'm not productive anymore. I'm dragging. My life is being affected by it. I really need to sit around 40 to 45. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, so just letting you guys know. So would appreciate your help with how to do that. I would like to communicate more about what I'm working on, how we fit the jobs into those hours, how we delegate and share the workload. I need you guys' help with that. So everyone's on board, right? So now I think it's like, how do we do that? And I think we've talked about many of these concepts before. The real main point I want to hit in this episode is that it just takes the courage to stop working that much, because your brain is going to tell you over and over and over and over again why you can't reduce your hours, right? It's going to tell you the three things I said before. Somebody's got to do it. There's too much to do, and the other people can't handle it. And I've proven to myself over and over again that other people can't handle it, because I tried once to delegate something and it was terrible, right? So I would say, if you're in that mindset, that's okay. Let's just stop. Let's stop piling it on to ourselves. So yeah, like Steve was saying, there's these peaks and valleys in your work, right? And we're all supposed to be working towards trying to flatten that curve out and make it as reasonable as possible, so that when the peaks come and you can't flatten them out, you've got that energy and you've got that reserve power to just push through the peak, right? And then come out the other side. You can't go into, here's one thing, is like you can't go into a big peak where everyone needs to push when you're a year in to your relentless, never-ending peak and you're burnt out.
Yep.
Your extra effort you're not adding anything at that point. It's just like, oh, here comes a peak. Well, we can't ramp anything up because we're already ramped up to the max, right? spend the time in those valleys once you've given yourself permission to do that, to train, to delegate, to learn how to flatten the curve, to get more people, to build efficiency, to build system, all the stuff that's going to help you and your company flatten the curve out. It takes time to build those things, right? So if you're working all the time, you're never going to have time to give yourself time, right? Back to the investing time.
Yep.
But yeah, once we're over that hump, let's say that you're just going to work 40 hours and you do your first week and you struggled, right? And you're like, you really just wanted to go back to your to-do list that you keep and just keep marching from one thing to the next, regardless of how much time it takes. And then once it's done, but it's never done. You're going to want to get pulled back into that so hard. No, I can't rely on anybody else. Here's the to-do list. It's just got to go. And if anybody says anything about, hey, where is this thing? Oh, got to jump on that and get it to them. Instead of saying, you know what? What is the time frame on this? Like, could I have until next week so I can plan it in? Communicate, right? Don't just take everything on, one thing at a time and just put it all on your own shoulders. But you'll feel the need to do that. So you worked your 40 hours and you look back, some people got upset. Some people were asking for things. And I would even say that, your perception of them being upset is probably wrong. They're probably like, oh, I just need to send it a reminder. Hey, you got to do this. You've looked at things that you dropped. You're like, damn, I should have gotten that done. And if I would have just worked 10 more hours, I could have gotten this thing done. Great. So now you're reflecting back, right? And it kind of looks bleak. You're like, oh, there's so much I didn't get done. People are upset. Am I going to start looking like I'm not pulling my own weight? Blah, 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 blah. All these things are going to go through your head, right? But you have to trust the process and trust yourself as you come off of this never-ending work cycle. You're going to tumble. It's going to get worse before you come down off of that. You're going to freaking roll down that hill and hit every single damn rock and tree and branch on your way down. It's just going to be like Chris Farley, man, rolling down that hill, and then as soon as you think, oh man, I'm safe. And then you're just going to start tumbling again. And I'm just thinking of that scene, right? I think it's Almost Heroes or something like that. And Chris Farley's just, oh God, and he's hitting everything. And dear Lord. And he finally stops and he grabs a little branch and he goes, oh my God, it's over. And he's holding onto the branch and he goes, thank you, little branch. And he step up and then it breaks. And he goes, oh, he starts falling again. Like, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. But that's going to be your life while you figure out how to stop working so much. And then eventually you're going to hit the ground and you're going to be like, all right, you're going to stand up. What have we learned? What are we going to start doing differently so that we can work 40 hours and still produce just as much as we were when we were working 60 to 70? All right. So that's kind of the setup. What do you got, Steve? What's like, once you're clear and your brain has stopped yelling at you that the only answer is to work 60 hours a week, what can you start doing?
I think it boils down to communication. When people give you tasks, if you're already overloaded, you have to say no, right? Within reason, of course. You have to, as you said before, ask what that time frame is. And if it's short and they have other tasks allocated to you from them already, you say, okay, how can I work this around this other thing that you're having me do? Is this thing a higher or lower priority? Can I extend my deadline for, project A by another week so I can get this project B done in the time that you need it done? So, communicate early on to help prioritize and figure out what some good expectations are for those projects. Another thing is, if someone comes to you with a project that's like, hey, this needs to get done next week, I really need you to get it done, and this is the top priority. Say they're the president of the company, right? I have to have this done. Okay, yes, sir, got it. Now what you need to do is you need to communicate instantly to the other stakeholders and to the other projects that you're working on and be like, hey, I got a really high priority thing from the president of the company. I really have to get this done. It's very important. Can I delay this project timeline of your project another week, excuse me, another week, so I can get it done at a reasonable time, but be able to get this really high priority thing done. So as soon as you are aware, you need to make everyone else aware of your fluctuating responsibilities.
That ripple effect that you're going to have on everyone else. And it's good to be concerned about everyone else.
Yep.
That's absolutely the right thing to do. Now you're going to say, I hear it. So I'm going to be the guy that objects to everything, Steve. Just be ready. All right. If I'm going to take all this time to do all this fucking communication, all that's doing is taking from me being able to produce my work. All right. So you're asking me to communicate for hours and hours and hours and do all this stuff. And what have I done?
It takes 20 seconds to send an email.
It's going to feel that way. And I agree, Steve. I agree.
Yeah.
These are real objections that I have given over the last 10 years. Okay.
I know. And I've heard them plenty of times.
I can see them so clearly. It probably will take you more time to get good at managing your time so that you can produce more. It will. It's going to be rough. I told you, you're going to be tumbling down the hill for quite a while. All right. But it's one of those things you got to get good at. And people are going to push back on you for bringing it up. They love that you're just sitting there doing everything and not saying anything but yes, I'll get it done. Whether you're working at 1 a.m., whether you're working over the weekend, whether you're suffering and giving up things that you normally would like to do. Maybe you don't even remember that you like to do them because all you do is work now, right? That's everyone's life. So as soon as you start making waves and pushing back and asking questions like, can we move deadlines to other people? They're not going to like it, but it's for the best. So keep going and figure it out. All right. Yeah. Have the courage to just take it and keep running with it.
And you, if using my last scenario, if you just tell them, hey, I have to delay your project a week because this other high priority thing came in, and you don't communicate the why behind that, the importance of the other project, they're going to be pissed off at you. They're going to be mad. You're delaying my project, blah, blah, blah. But if you get alignment with them of the larger, priority list and, the why of the direction that you're getting from the president or, or whatever, they're going to be a lot more understanding. They might not like it. They might still push back, but, deep down they'll be like, okay, this is going to be a time where I have to give a little bit in the timeline.
They're testing your resolve.
They are.
Does this guy truly believe this is the right thing? Because as the president, as the director, as the people above, they know it's the right thing to do, to manage expectations, to communicate, to prioritize, to triage certain things. They know that's the right thing, but they're going to test you because they want it to go away. They want you just to handle your shit and not bother them. So they're going to be like, no, you can't do that. It's too important. This is too important. You can't change it. The rest of the company's fine. You're the only one working too much. You're the only one that can't get, they're not going to say that, but the messaging is just like, no, go do it. And then you're going to come back and say, I appreciate that. I understand that you need these things done, but I've communicated already that I'm trying to reduce this, working extended hours. I'm trying to tailor it back. And this is that part of that process. And I'd appreciate it if you work with me. Now, if the answer is still a resounding no, and you have to do it, then I'm going to take care of it. Okay. And then that's a discussion for a different time. You have to evaluate whether that person is going to play ball with you, or if they just need you to work extended hours forever and they're never going to let you not, that's another question, but push back a little bit, be a little resilient. You have to trust the process, right? And find people to help you build your confidence in going through these motions to get yourself out of the hole you've put yourself into. It works. I can tell you it works. I can tell you I'm getting more done than I ever have in less hours now because I understand these concepts. But it's very hard when you're going through it. It's like, no, there's no way. And you immediately are going to want to push back, but I keep bringing that up because it's going to come up every time. Listen to this episode over and over and over on a loop if you need to. Trust the process. Have some resilience. Speak up. All right. People are going to push back on you. So I love that, Steve. Communicate expectations and communicate often and to everyone that you think is going to be impacted by it. Their response is out of your control, okay? But your communication is in your control, all right? And it's the right thing to do. And if you can stick with it, I promise you're going to come out on the other side having gotten better and having other people respect you more. And then they're going to start working for you instead of against you. All right. Steve
Yeah.
always communicates when he's too busy. He's always moving these targets around. Maybe I should ask him the next time I walk over to a client's office without Steve and I go, oh, yeah, we could get that. My engineering group can get that done for you tomorrow. No problem. And then you go send an email to Steve. This is due tomorrow. Here you go. He's going to go, oh, well, Steve always pushes back and moves things around and like gets this big group together to talk about it. It's the fucking weirdest thing. And so maybe I'm going to ask Steve when he can get this done before I go to the client and promise him it. Oh, cool. It'll happen. I promise. Hey, my fellow impactful engineers. If there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, it's to keep listening to the podcast, but also if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Hey everyone. If this discussion brings up additional questions to the forefront of your mind, I encourage you to head over to impactfulengineer.com and sign up for a newsletter with your question. We may answer your inquiry directly on the podcast or even ask our guests to get their insight. If you're just enjoying the episode and want to make sure you never miss additional impactful content, you can still sign up for the newsletter without a question. And as always, you can reach out and follow us on LinkedIn under The Impactful Engineer. Yeah. A bit of a sidestep, but related to communication is, I think, building rapport with your stakeholders, your customers, your team members, etc., is really important because it makes it much easier to communicate your non-negotiables, right? Because they understand your non-negotiables. So, like for me, for instance, I need to be home to put the kids down for bed, right? For my bedtime routine. Sometimes I need to pick them up from school. So if I'm building rapport, they understand that I really care about my family, and I like to be an engaged dad. When I say, "Hey, I need to leave by 5 o'clock today to go pick up the kids," they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem." But if I don't build that rapport early on, I don't communicate, why I need to leave. I just go, "Hey, I need to leave at 5." Then they're just like, okay, why? We have this really important thing we got to get done, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's important to build a relationship with the people that you need to communicate with, and give them the non-negotiables and the whys of why, it's important to you to leave on time, or, to arrive at work at a certain time, not 5 o'clock in the morning, but hey, I'm going to get to work at 7:30, right? It's important to be open about that type of communication, because they're going to be much more understanding and work with you instead of against you.
That's really good. More on the communication. So unspoken things is just the destroyer of many, 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 many things.
Yep.
These unspoken expectations sucks. Builds resentment. People don't understand why, and your perception goes in the toilet. Is not good. So communicate that. Yep. I would say another thing that helps is to stop. So like you're promising either to a coworker, your boss, someone you're working with on a specific project, a client, whoever. You could be in the position of delivering deadlines, or setting up milestones, or communicating when you're going to get things to them, right? And a huge trap that I see a lot of people doing is promising everything with a definite deadline and making it very soon, in the very near future, as in tomorrow. Like, hey, yeah, we will get that to you tomorrow, no problem, by the end of the day. And it's like, is this a tomorrow by the end of the day thing? Is this so important that it needs to be a tomorrow by the end of the day thing? Would they have been okay with like, yeah, hear ya? Is your timeline next week? Like, when do you need this by? Is the first question. And then it's like, oh, as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Okay, cool. So now we know the timeline, but what's the priority on this thing? How important is it to you? I mean, we've got a bazillion projects going on that we've all planned, and you're going to deliver it better than this, but you can have this conversation with yourself. I have a million things going on. I've got 10 parallel timelines happening. There's going to be wrenches thrown into, I don't know, 10 of them, and then we're going to have to pivot, and then we're going to have to do. So, what's the importance of all these things versus this thing that was just asked for? Right? You need to get very good at deflecting. Okay. Because if something comes in that's going to take you in your mind an hour, and you're like, I can do that in an hour and I'll just have it tomorrow. And then another thing comes in, oh, I can do that in an hour. I'll just tell them tomorrow. Soon you've got 3 to 4 hours worth of stuff to do. Then it always takes longer than you thought because this question pops into your head. It needs to be answered before you can send the thing out. Oh gosh, something happened and I've got to go spend half an hour dealing with it. And then I can come back to this thing. And then you've said to everyone, oh yeah, tomorrow's fine. And meanwhile, you're shelving all of the other stuff, those 10 parallel paths worth of crap that you need to get done is on hold, getting nowhere. And you're just keeping, it's like, listen, you have to be able to determine the priority of something. How important is this to the person that asked for it? Right? Is every major world power about to launch all of their nukes at each other in the next 15 seconds? Unless you do this thing, that would be an example of a high priority item. Everything else goes away. You work on that, right? Is this person asking for some data that may or may not help them make a decision, but they were kind of just thinking like, oh, it would be kind of cool if we had this data. And it'd be cool if it was organized this way. I know our spreadsheet, has it this way now, but like if we could just move the columns around and they could do this thing for, that would be awesome. You know what I say to those things? No. If this is if this is like a would be awesome thing, you're doing it. I ain't doing it. Or if you want me to do it, I'm gonna assign it a very low priority, a very low urgency, and I'm gonna make somebody else do it. I'm gonna delegate that task to somebody that can fit it into their schedule, and I'm gonna go be doing the other 10 parallel things. Okay. So, very long-winded way of saying assign a priority, assign an urgency, give yourself a schedule, establish the expectations from whom you're delivering to whom you're delivering this thing. Okay. Because if you just open the conversation, I know you said ASAP, but here's the deal. ASAP is not a schedule. ASAP is, oh, I want you to get it to me as soon as possible. Okay, but that's not a schedule. Because to me, as soon as is possible for me, oh, as soon as possible. Okay, well, I work 40 hours a week. I've got all these really important things that could bury the company if I don't get them done. Let's see. 8 weeks, I'll have that to you. That's as soon as I can get it to you. Oh, you mean you want me to drop everything and work on this first and give it back to you when I'm done? That's what you mean by ASAP. Oh, or what people usually mean by ASAP is, I don't know the schedule. I don't want to put any more thought into it. Just get it to me. So you can be the person that negotiates the schedule, right? Really, how long is this? Really, what needs to be in place before I give this to you? Because some assignments that you have, you could make them the highest priority, deliver it, and it ran over all these other schedules, and then it sits there for weeks. Nobody does a damn thing with it. All right, so do yourself a favor and communicate that and be like, look, I propose that I give this to you in a week. You've told me you need it done. I propose a week. I'll fit it into my schedule, nice and easy, and I'll get it to you next Friday. And that's going to be perfect. Because I think what you just said to me was, you're going to receive it, then you'll review it, then someone needs to look at it, and they're not going to be able to look at it until they get back from vacation next week. And so it's probably going to sit while they get back from vacation and go through all their priorities, doing the same thing I'm trying to do. They're going to shove this one off because they're going to have stuff on fire. And then maybe in 3.5 weeks, they'll see this thing that I delivered. Cool. Can I give it to you in 3.5 weeks? Like, be real with this stuff and stop just promising everything all the time. right? And the one last thing I'll say, because I've been ranting for a little bit, is that you create a better reputation by saying what you're going to do and then meeting the thing you're going to do. Why wouldn't you make it on your terms and your schedule within 40 hours? Why would you not do that? Right? Stop over promising and then failing and then delivering at 11:30 p.m. and then, oh, I got to do it. Sorry, it's going to be Monday early. Sorry, it's going to be this. Oh, we're just wrapping up. You know how many times I've seen emails like that and I've had to send emails like that? And you know how tired of it I am? Oh, sorry, just getting it done. Oh, an emergency came up. I couldn't do this. Oh, blah, blah. Just set a reasonable deadline. Because if someone can expect from you that what you say you do no matter what, and you're not killing yourself to do it, that's the highest value relationship you can have. Period.
Yep. Something I like to
And
do is to give a quote unquote reasonable deadline, right, for a task that's asked of me. But then I will do my best to beat that deadline. So that way it's like, hey, I was able to find, 5 hours of extra time. So, I was able to knock this out, a few days earlier for you. So here you go. And then um, that way you're setting the expectations for here, which is, the reasonable timeline, but then you're able to deliver a little quicker. And that is a much more positive experience for the person asking you of that project than um, you promising, oh, I'll get it done tomorrow, and then just pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off. And so
mm-hmm.
I think your perception is going to be way higher, even if you're delivering at the same exact time, because of where you're managing those expectations.
Yeah. And you're allowing yourself internally and within the team to handle more and be better at scheduling and have a flatter resource curve. Like that's great. Just be careful not to make a habit of under promising and over delivering so often that it creates a perception that you don't know how to schedule your work.
True. Yeah.
Or that you're building too much fluff into things.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't
So
want
there's
to
a
do
happy
too
medium.
drastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't go too drastic. But like you said, people are gonna love that. Like, oh, they said, because you got to realize, guys, that like a lot of people do this, and you don't want to be one of them. That's why you're still listening, right? So many people do this. They just run ragged, and then it's a week later, past when they promised, and they become this person that just promises things, but there's no weight to it because they never meet it anyway, right? And so it's just this running ragged kind of a chaos situation. And so people, the people receiving those services get used to that, and they're just like, oh, so if you can under promise and over deliver, they're going to like it. If you can just say what you're going to do and then keep your word, they're going to love that. That is actually going to be above what most people do.
Yes.
You got to trust me on that one.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, I'll give those reasonable timelines to all the projects that I'm working on. But then the high priority ones are the ones that will be delivered a day early or 2 days early. And then the ones that are the medium and lower priority, those will just be delivered on time. Right. So that extra time that you have during your, the weeks of that project is of the projects is where you put in the effort on the high priority stuff to make sure absolutely that those don't slip. And then sometimes you might slip on the low priority stuff, but the overall perception is that you know how to prioritize and execute on the things that are the most critical and important to the organization. And if there is slippage, it's on the low priority stuff.
That's right.
And I think that dynamic is where you want to be.
Because you're never going to deliver everything. Even when you're working 70 hours a week, you still don't. Be honest with yourself.
Yep.
You're still in that mentality or that mindset of, I could have done more, but I just physically couldn't do it. Right. And so one, I want to recap just real quick. Communication. Communicate your expectations. Tell everybody this is what you're doing. Bring everybody on board. Face the pushback, have some resilience. All right. Trust the path, trust the progress or the process. Excuse me. 2, stop promising everything with a definite deadline and making it really short. Okay. Give yourself some time. All right. And then number 3, I'm just going to roll right into it. This is kind of a perception thing or a high level, going to be hard to explain maybe. But you're working 60 hours because you're working 60 hours. Okay. You're working 70 hours because you're working 70 hours. All right. The same is true. You're working 40 hours because you're working 40 hours. All right. You are creating your own destiny, so to speak, your own self fulfilling prophecy based on what you were willing to accept. Okay. I'm willing to accept working 40 to 45 hours a week most of the time. Now, what do I have to do to get the most? What I don't accept is mediocrity, right? So, what do I have to do to get the most out of those hours and perform at a high level and have a great impact on multiple people? Blah, 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 right? All the stuff that's important to me. How do I fit that within 40 to 45 hours a week on a normal routine basis? That's the question. That's what I'm going to create for myself. Okay. Someone working at 60 hours a week, that's because that's what they're accepting. 60 hours is what I accept. And then they may or may not be intentional about what they're filling that time with or the things that they're doing. Okay. Or maybe they are. And you've accepted 60 hours. You're okay with 60 hours. That's the season of your life right now. You're willing to do it. And you're being intentional about what fills those 60 hours. Great. All right. You create your own world, believe it or not. What happens to you and what you're doing every day and the things you're experiencing are created by you. All right. There's a lot of outside players and things in your world that you get to move around and dodge or reflect or bring into your world or allow them to be there, whatever. But it's your world, right? And I know I'm kind of getting into the fluff stuff, but there's a reason. If this wasn't true, just think about this. If this wasn't true that you create your own reality, then why is there any working hours at all? Why are there any constraints? Why are there any bounds or rules or it would just be nothing. If you weren't in control of anything, it would just be like you just float through the world and it's like, okay, we do whatever comes our way, what does 60 hours mean? It wouldn't mean anything. You've created that bound for yourself. And you can create the 40-hour work week for yourself too. You can create a 30-hour work week for yourself if you want. Really, you can create your own situation. You're in control of it. Right? I hope that hits for some people. Does that make sense, Steve? Like
it definitely went in the clouds a little bit.
you like it's just, yeah, I don't know how to explain any more than that. I'm sure as I progress in my evolution of this topic that I can wrap it up in some very professional way in like 3 sentences. But you truly do. I mean, case in point, I'll just give you a real life example. I used to work 60 to 70 hours a week for a year straight, and then I just didn't. And guess what? You're still getting promoted, still making more money, still producing more things. The only thing that's really changed is now I have time to work out. I got time to spend with my family. I got time to do a ton of things that I used to love doing before I got stuck into this reality I created for myself, that it was 60, 70 hours a week because I had to. Screw that, right? Yeah, because I didn't want it. I was stuck. If I wanted it, that's great. That's another story. But I didn't want it.
So I do want to go down into the weeds a little bit here. Is how if you find yourself in this scenario of working a ton of hours consistently, how do you reduce it, right? How do you set that intention to reduce that workload quickly and consistently? And one of the areas that I see a lot of engineers struggle is being focused and intentional on the work that they're doing in the moment. they get distracted. They have a lot of side conversations. They'll go down rabbit holes. So I think being focused and intentional on the work you're doing, but also taking predetermined breaks to come out of the rabbit hole. So you're not just diving in trying to solve one little problem, or like, oh, SolidWorks isn't building this feature how I want it to, so I'm going to spend 8 hours trying to figure out this fillet. I've done that before. It sucks. And then all this work doesn't get done. And so how do you pull back regularly to assess, where you're at, and, oh, maybe I should pivot on what I'm working on, or maybe I should work on this, more important project, rather than a different part of the same project. And so some of the things that I suggest to the engineers that I've worked with is just set a block of an hour or 2 hours to work on something, then take a 10 to 15 minute break, walk around, talk to a couple people, have your side conversations, do an intentional distraction for a bit, and then go to the next block, or go to a meeting, or set a couple meetings up in a row, to pull yourself out of the dedicated work, and then go back into that block, and then refocus and get back into it. And I think you'll see the problem at hand in a different perspective, and you'll be more effective at attacking it. And so, be more focused in the work that you're doing, and reduce your distractions. So that way, the 8 hours in that day that you're putting in for on the work that you're doing is way more effective, and the quality of the work you're doing is better.
Are you saying schedule your distractions in? Is
Yes.
that basically what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Schedule the distractions, because you do need the mental breaks.
Yes.
You can't just 8 hours concentrate on one project. You're not going to be efficient at all.
Yeah, I ran into some of that this week. And what I do to get myself out of that is I literally just, you have to first be aware that that's what's happening to you. And then I just get up and I go for a walk. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I have to do this. And then your brain says, oh, you just need to keep going, go back, go sit down, keep typing, keep thinking, and it's so strong, man. That's such a strong, it's like, no. Don't take time to do things that aren't the work. It's like, but I'm at this point where just focusing on the work constantly is I'm going to be so inefficient. And so, that took a long time to be able to just go, okay, when that clock hits 12 or when it hits 11:30 or, whatever, 1:30, I'm going to get up. I got to put my pencils down, so to speak, and just go walk around.
Yeah.
And then take some deep breaths, get some air outside, and really focus for like 15 minutes on just kind of being blah. Don't go for a walk and then you get on your phone and then you're trying to answer all these messages, and because you're just doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're even just task switching at that point and just not giving yourself a break at all.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, think of the scientific side of it, right? You're going to be in a sit down, stationary position. Your blood flow is going to be restricted. Your breathing becomes really calm. Your heart rate goes down. What do you need to concentrate? Right? Your brain needs energy. You need electrolytes. You need blood flow into your brain. So it's important to get up, move around, get the blood flowing, get your heart rate up, drink some water. If you have electrolyte packets or something like that, that'd be good too. Maybe have a snack. Get some nutrients in your body, get it circulating through your system, and your brain's going to be happy for it. And now it's going to operate more efficiently. You can sit back down and be able to concentrate a lot more clearly. Something that's helped me recently is I got a tabletop standing desk, right? When I'm diving into the hard work, for whatever reason, I can concentrate better when I'm sitting down. But when I'm having meetings, I raise the desk up and I'm standing, because for whatever reason, when I communicate with people, and I do better when I'm standing, moving around, and because you're just more amped up a little bit, right? And so I'll stand during meetings and I'll sit down when the focus work, and then now my body's going up and down, up and down, up and down throughout the day, and it's just keeping me more awake and more focused.
Hmm. Maybe you should be standing when we'd record.
Yeah,
Bring the
maybe.
fire. I mean, you do. I mean, you do great anyway. I'm just saying. Like, oh man, I can only imagine what we'd be talking about right now if you were standing
Yeah.
up.
Well,
Woo.
just think about when you were here last, right? We went on our walks, and
Yeah,
we would walk for 45 minutes, and we probably could have recorded an amazing episode just from the conversations we're having.
dude. And then we'd come back after our walk, and we just like we were spilling things on the vision board. We were spilling things,
Yeah.
creating the website. Like we created so much while I was there, and we did our walks. Like right after the walks,
Yeah. It's
right?
always right after.
Yeah, yeah. And then we just allowed ourselves, like the downtime of the day or the grogginess, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like we just won't do so much, and then we'll take another walk, and we come back and just hit it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Taking intentional breaks and getting your blood flowing is really good. I would say one last thing, Steve. Unless you got another one, you can totally add on to it. Um, but we're hitting that mark where most people are probably going to go, oh my gosh, let's get this over with, or maybe they're pulling into work. Okay, let's wrap it up. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Give yourself some ammo. My method of just stopping it, right? Sounds kind of ridiculous. All right, I admit that. You need to give yourself ammo to do the things that you really want to do or get you excited when you're purposely trying to avoid working, because you will have to do that. Because once you hit 40, you're just going to want to keep going, right? Give yourself some ammo with things that you can execute on that are highly enjoyable to you, or that you've wanted to make progress on or move the needle on in those time periods. Because guess what? You now have 20 plus extra hours to do some stuff. Okay. Have you always wanted to, I don't know, pick up guitar? Go play some guitar and just relax while you're doing it. If the guitar stresses you out, like don't do that. Okay. If you go from work and then you go pick up the guitar and you're like, this is such a pain in the ass and it pisses me off to try to learn these chords and the strum pattern, like don't play the guitar. Let's save it for another time. Give yourself ammo with things that you enjoy doing or that you've wanted to move the needle on that doesn't stress you out so much that you'd rather be working than do it. Okay. Because that's going to be the opposite of what we want. For
Yeah.
me, I'm sure Steve's got some, but for me, when that time freed up, I filled it with being more active on LinkedIn, working on this podcast. I didn't quit work 60 plus hours to do this, but I used it to fill what I would otherwise use to just work. And it's really been great for me. I'm sure you kind of feel the same way, Steve, but I get excited when we're talking about stuff like this. I get excited about researching new things about leadership and how to influence, and I like connecting with people. So I do that. I like working out too. I like being fit as I can be. So taking a ride, lifting some weights, um, that's really enjoyable to me. So that's another ammo piece that I can use. Work's done. Now what do I do after I transition? Right, because you got to get your mind out of it. That's gonna be the hardest part. Go listen to the thing on transitions to add to your um, ability to execute on this. So go listen to that episode. Once you've transitioned and you're free from the grasp, from the clutches of work, from the clutches of your own mind, because you've created that situation for yourself, believe it or not, um, then you can pull from your ammo belt and be like, all right, I'm gonna go work out, or I'm gonna go cook. Dude, I love cooking. I'm gonna go make my 12 dough balls, and I'm gonna make put them in the proofer boxes and I'm put them in the fridge, and then tomorrow it's gonna be making great pizza. That's great. Do the things you love doing and that relax you too. So like relax yourself into it. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Do anything like that, Steve? Or
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll keep mine short, but you know, working on cars, hanging out with the family. Obviously, this podcast is one of the things we do on our downtime. And I love reading and exercising, etc. So many of the same things, obviously, but yeah, in that episode, transition is episode 26. So yeah,
excellent.
definitely touch on that.
Perfect. All right, man. This was a good one. I hope you guys got something good out of it. You just got to take the leap. Got to have courage. You got to kind of have a little bit of that. Screw what anybody else thinks. This is for me, and it needs to happen before I can get back to normal and start being the person that I want to be. Um, and then every once in a while, you're gonna have to work 70 hours in a week, and that's
And that's
okay.
okay.
Sometimes that's okay. Hey guys, I hope you had a great time listening. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe you got inspired, or at least took one thing away that you'd be able to use. Maybe you just had a good laugh. Impactful Engineering's hope and mission is that through this podcast, we can play a small part in expanding the reach and awareness of engineering and all of its many areas of application. The multiple engineering career paths available can be hugely rewarding as part of a fulfilled life, creating opportunity to impact nearly everyone in the modern world. An engineer's work helps to foster creation of new technologies, create safe and comfortable environments in which people can work, and lends to the sustainable future of everyone on the planet. The world needs more impactful engineers. Our vision is to provide engineers with the perspective and the tools to allow themselves the opportunity to become the most impactful engineers they can be. Included in our vision is to grow the impactful engineering community to a point where we can provide full ride scholarships to students in every single U.S. state every single year. This is an enormous goal, and with your help, we can get there. To start, we will continue to execute this mission in the way that we know how, having conversations, telling stories, and talking about what we find interesting and are passionate about. If the episode made you think, made you object, made you think you could possibly be doing something more with your day, or brought about an idea that you could spend more time on developing further, please share the show or recommend it to your friends. Even if you didn't personally think it was a huge help, there may be someone that you know that could benefit from it, and that's all we can ask for. Until next time on the Impactful Engineer Podcast.